Hello. What do you do? You'll need to hear him purr. Hello friends, and welcome back to my home. If you are new here, my name is Christina and I run this channel because I like old books, I like vintage style, and I want to live a practical vintage lifestyle. This is Caramel Corn, who may or may not be joining us for the remainder of this video. Today we are going to ignore the fact that I do not have a right thumbnail. Today is a 18,000 subscribers Q&A. Hello if you are new, I'm so glad that you are here. Thank you all for getting me to 18,000. That's amazing. I was so excited watching the numbers go up. Like, I try not to pay too much attention to the numbers because at the end of the day, this channel is just here for me to enjoy. And if I get too tied up in how many views I'm getting, how many subscribers I'm getting, how many whatever, I can get really overwhelmed and burnt out. And while I would love to hit 25K, overall, I'm just here to make things that make me happy and hopefully make you happy too. So if you are here and you are new, hi. I introduced myself briefly in the intro, but I basically run this channel because I really like vintage things. I want to live like a slower lifestyle, a more intentional lifestyle, and I think that a lot of farm-based 1940s and 1950s concepts work really well into that. The aesthetics, the cooking books, the canning, the idea of make and reuse and rewear and just be a little more intentional with your life. That's what I'm all about. Let's get into the Q&A. So my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and my dad works in construction. He did his whole life. He started out as a drywaller, a drywaller, building houses. His dad did that as well, so he just kind of did that. I have gained a lot of knowledge on how houses work and how to fix them from my dad. It has changed a lot in the last 2 years, especially. I've never had a particularly hard relationship with food. Comparatively, I've never had an ED or anything like that, but I did have a very skewed relationship with food. My mom and I were always striving to eat healthy and be healthier. Between like probably the ages of 16 to 29 or 30, I viewed my body as wrong because it was not thin. I look back at myself in the years when I thought I needed to diet to lose weight, and I just think, why was I so stupid? But I know why. It's because diet culture is very, very ingrained in us, especially in the early 2000s, and seeing the ideal body type of like the Paris Hiltons and the Lindsay Lohans and that body type is pretty damaging. So food-wise, I did a lot of things. I did random diets. None of them were ever really, really extreme because I have never believed in extreme eating in order to be healthy, but I certainly didn't have a good relationship with food until the last few years. Reading intuitive eating, actually reading it and not just Google searching it, was a big help. Breaking through diet culture is hard. Intuitive eating was really helpful. I'm allowed to eat whatever I want to eat, but honestly, most of the time I just crave vegetables. So I think I'm gonna do a video on reviewing my style over, oh no, I lost a nail, over the last 12, 13 years that I've been online, because it has changed so much. But my love for vintage started, I don't know. To be fairly honest, I know that when I started a blog, which was in 2009, I really liked retro style, but I didn't know full-on vintage. I always wanted to look full-on vintage, but I thought the retro, cute, like ModCloth style was a lot more accessible to me at the time. But I've always loved old stuff. So it's probably sort of a lifelong thing. I will make a video on it. I kind of answered it before. I started a vlog. I liked retro fashion and I got into vintage, and I kind of it just morphed. Again, I've always been interested in living like a more simplified, I want to say like a cottagecore lifestyle, even though I didn't really know what cottagecore was at the time. I grew up on a farm. I will say more like on farm land. We didn't have a lot of animals. We had dogs and cats and chickens, but we had an orchard, we had a big garden. So I grew up with that kind of life, and I've always liked that. I like doing things like canning, simplified, living off the land. I've always wanted to be a little more self-sustained. So like vintagey things kind of fit into that, because especially with the 40s, there was a lot of like grow things for yourself, make things for yourself, that kind of thing. So I don't really know when it started, but it's just always been an interest of mine. Thank you for asking. I know I haven't made a book video in a while, and I'm going to come probably November. It is going. For those of you who don't know, I've been writing for most of my life, and I started seriously considering that maybe I could become a published author between like the age of 16 to 20, because that's when I wrote my first novel. Like I finished my first novel. But I didn't pursue it for a long time because I got busy. I got married, I had kids, I had postpartum depression, I had a lot of work to do. I had a like 7-year block of not really being able to write anything. This year, I finished writing a novel called The Devil of Calhoun, and I sent it out to a lot of agents. I queried the novel to agents who could then represent the book to publishers to get it published. As of now, I've had 3 full manuscript requests. 2 of those people have rejected the manuscript for various reasons. I mean, it's never really personal. One of the 2 rejects did send me some of the line editing that she did. She had a lot of really good questions about very small plot points in the beginning that I had not even thought of. So as of right now, I still have it out to a few agents, but once I get kind of answers from all of them, I'm probably going to sit that novel on the back burner, because after speaking with the one agent, she was super, super helpful. Super great interaction with her, especially in the realm of like having asked questions that I didn't ever think about and nobody asked me. Nobody who read the novel, like my ARC readers or my beta readers, nobody had asked me the questions that she was asking. So that was really good. It really sparked my, it lit a fire under me that I needed for this novel, because I think I really need to rewrite the first chapter or 3. And I hadn't really felt the motivation to do so because I didn't know what I wanted to do with those chapters. But anyway, all of that to say, at the moment I'm probably going to back burner it unless it gets picked up by an agent randomly and then I have to work on it. I'm going to put it on the back burner because I think that the novels I'm currently writing are much better. My writing has improved a lot since I finished writing that novel, which was a year ago. Less than a year ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but my writing has improved a lot in the last 3 years. I'll say it that way. And my ability to plot has improved a lot. So I'm kind of like, hey, if The Devil of Calhoun gets picked up and published, that's great. If not, I'm going to back burner it and I'm going to focus on the novel I'm writing right now, which is called The Widow's Proposal. It's going to be one of 3 standalone connected novels. So they're all about people within that same world who know each other, but they can stand alone as their own novel. And that's kind of going to be my focus because I think they're much better. So that's how it's going. Writing is such a slow and varied process, but having like broken my reaching out to agent's like virginity, you know, like I got over the scary part of reaching out to agents, and now I know how to do it. Now I know how to write everything that I need in order to submit something to an agent. And that's been really helpful. It's been a very helpful process. Lots of learning this year. Filming wise, I film with a Canon 60D at a 24mm lens, and I have a camera mic attached to the top of the camera and it feeds audio directly into the camera, so I don't have to worry about aligning my audio. I don't have to worry about importing my audio. It's all just directly onto the card. It overrides the camera sound. So I have a really cheap Amazon tripod, and generally I have a what's it called, a wireless shutter, a wireless remote shutter release. That's also not right, but whatever, you know what I mean. To focus, because I will set my camera to autofocus and then hit the focus button so I am where I want to be, and then turn off the autofocus. My camera does not autofocus while I am filming. So if you ever see shots that are A, handheld moving, or B, the focus is going from something else to me, my husband is helping, because I don't have autofocus during filming on this camera. But yeah, so that's what my setup looks like. It's very simple, very easy. If I'm filming around the house, I generally will use the tripod, or I will set the camera on something so that I can just hit film and go. I generally film all of my stuff by myself. Yes, I would. Okay, so I realized lately that I have this unconscious mentality of like, if it's not brand new exciting content, like if it's not a new concept, then nobody's gonna want to watch it, right? I don't know why I think that, because there are so many channels that do the same video over and over again and everybody loves it. But I just had that feeling of like, well, I did this once, I can't do it again because people are probably tired of it. And I know that's not the case. But yeah, I do, now that I've realized people really like seeing that and would like to see it over and over again, I think that I might start filming 50s routines again more often. I just for a while felt like if I was only ever doing 1950s routines, people would get bored and hate it, but that's not the case at all. One of the biggest reasons why I haven't is because a lot of strangers who don't watch my channel found me through that video, only watched that video, and criticized my house because of it, because my house isn't a perfect 50s house. I literally had people telling me that my living room curtains were the wrong thing because they didn't have, or my bedroom curtains, they don't have pressure rods in the 50s. That's all wrong. They didn't have like the rods that we have, the curtain rods, the literal curtain rods in my living room are wrong, apparently. I've gotten to a point where it doesn't bother me anymore, but for a long time it did bother me, and so that's another reason why I didn't make more videos like that. Yes, I actually really like making cleaning videos, even though my house is a disaster. I think because I like to show that like cleaning content, people don't have to have constantly clean houses. Some of us are just chaotic, and that's why we make cleaning content, because it's motivation to clean. But anyway. Yes, I actually have a few different old books. I have like an Edwardian book. I have an 1880 something book. And I have I have Heloise's Household Hints. And I think I have like a 1920s cleaning book that had some really interesting like stain removal tips. So yeah, that's on my docket of things to do because I think that's really interesting and very useful. Yes and no. This is one of my most asked questions is, how do you find plus size vintage? How do you thrift vintage? Where do you go? What do you do? If you're talking about thrifting in person, I would say the biggest tip I have is to just go all the time. Like, go weekly. Go the day before the best sale at the thrift store, because that's usually when it's going to be the most stocked. Otherwise, just going consistently, going to thrift stores that you know stock a variety of things. I almost never go to Goodwill anymore because they really don't have a big variety of vintage. Most of their clothes are modern. So that's my biggest in-person thrifting tip, is just go consistently, go a lot, go, you know, before the big sale. Widen your net of thrifting areas. I feel like this is not a big tip. It's just about consistency, persistence, things like that. There are things that I've had on my wish list for 5 years that I only just found. You know, you can't expect to get everything all at once. I use colors. I color coordinate everything. Oh, that's probably the easiest way to do it. My brain really likes to match things. So it's the easiest way to make an outfit is to have like a 3-color combo thing in my head. Like, I'll wear this dress with a brown beret, brown boots, a brown belt, and some other yellow and orange stuff. That's it. I don't know. I've just honed my taste over the years. It took me like 15 years to get to a style where I feel like I know who I am in the fashion world. But you know. So, I know how to knit. Do I knit? No, but I do know how. It's something that I really want to do, but I feel like I only really want to knit when it's cold out, and so I only do it in the winter, and I'm not even at the point where I've made anything. I've knitted like a very tiny little thing. So I know how, very basically I know how. I have all my grandma's knitting stuff, but it's not something where I could actually knit anything of use. If I'm being honest, I do and I don't. I really like, I have a couple of records that I really like, and I have no idea what the names of them are. But I generally do not listen to vintage music unless I'm making a video or unless I put it on a record. Otherwise, I listen to a lot of like Harry Styles. Harry Styles-esque music. Harry Styles, November Ultra. November Ultra is one of my favorite artists. She has the most amazing voice. I also like Laith Ross, who's on TikTok, and I don't know if they have anything else. So yeah, I like Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Michael Bublé and Ella Fitzgerald and Doris Day and like all of those, but like I don't really have a favorite. My go-to music is generally like Harry Styles. My mom taught me. I've known how to sew since I was like 7 or 8, whenever I was old enough to really learn. Sorry, there's a bug. She is a sewist. She likes to make quilts, she likes to make clothes. She made a lot of my clothes when I was little. My aunt and my grandma, or my aunt really liked to sew, so her and my mom would sew a lot together. So yeah, I've always known how to sew, and I have a lot of knowledge around how to problem solve, but I don't really... I didn't find patterns that fit well for a long time, so I didn't sew for a long time because patterns never fit right. Now that I've gotten into the vintage patterns, those tend to fit my body a lot better. So sewing is more fun. And now that I know I don't have to follow the pattern all the way, like I can make up my own skirt as long as I have a bodice. Also, sewing is a lot more fun. No, but we did want it. So we have always wanted 5 kids, but after Freya, we thought, you know what, the economy is going downhill. His job that he had was not doing so great. So we were kind of like, We would love to have 5, but at this point we can't really afford it. We live in a 2-bedroom house. You know, it's just maybe it's not gonna happen. I was kind of trying to make peace with that. I felt like I would have been okay if we had not gotten pregnant again. But I also felt like something was missing. So we did want this pregnancy. We did hope for this pregnancy, but we were not trying. We were kind of trying not to, just because we thought, you know what, maybe the 5 kids isn't in the cards for us because of all the external factors. So it was a good surprise, and it's good timing, good like length between kids, age gap between kids, all of that. And then his work has gotten better, my work has gotten better, stuff like that. And there's another question pertaining to this that I'm going to answer later about our house that I will explain after I read that question. But yeah, so it's like, it was a hope for pregnancy. It was not a planned pregnancy. It was a very much a surprise pregnancy. My husband specifically didn't think we were going to have any more because I had also expressed that I really didn't want to be pregnant again, which is still true. I am not enjoying this pregnancy at all. If I'm being very honest, I am very much tired of being pregnant. And this is very much our last. I do not want to be pregnant again after this. This is our last one. The end. Yes. This is actually something that we are desperately waiting on. So I'm sorry, I'm looking for the community Q&A post so that I can pull up the YouTube questions. So yes, we are actually currently waiting for the hospital to call us to do the anatomy scan, which is just a general 20-week scan where they make sure the baby's growing fine and all that. That is generally when we find out if it's a boy or a girl. And I really like knowing because I really like planning, but there has been a delay because the computer systems of our hospital were all completely shut down and they haven't been able to call anybody. So someday we'll find out. Yes, but also I think my older kids, like they remember me being pregnant a few times before, so it's not as exciting to them. I think it will be more exciting once they actually get the baby to hold. And certainly for my oldest, because he has been wanting a brother, literally every kid I've had, he will be more excited if we find out that it's a boy. But like, he's gonna love it either way. He loves all of his sisters and he wouldn't trade them for the world. But Irene is the only one who's like actively talking to my stomach. She's 4. She draws me pictures for me and the baby. She draws lots of hearts because she loves me and the baby. She gives the baby hugs. She talks to the baby. But she's the only one who does that. The other kids, you can't really see the baby moving in my stomach yet. So like, it's kind of like, yeah, mom's gonna have a baby, but it'll be more real once they can see the movement, and I think once the baby's here. Freya, actually all of my girls have co-slept because I didn't see the point in getting up and down out of bed when I was exhausted and they were hungry. So it kind of just started as a way for me to feed them while we were both in bed, and then it just turned into co-sleeping. We've never had a problem with that. I know some people are really afraid of co-sleeping and think it could be dangerous, but my husband and I are both very light sleepers and we don't move around a lot. So it's always been perfectly safe for us. But it really is just a family by family thing. Right now we are transitioning Freya out of the bed. She's been our hardest to break of co-sleep, and I think it's because she's been the youngest for the longest. By which I mean, we thought she would be the youngest forever, so we weren't as concerned with getting her out of the bed because I really don't mind it. But we are transitioning her into her crib. She goes to sleep in her crib with the other kids in the bedroom, and then because they are all in one room, if she wakes up and she's screaming in the night, we bring her to our bed and she sleeps there until the morning. So she's gotten to the point where she generally will stay in her own bed all night or until about 2 o'clock in the morning. So I think probably by the time I have the baby, she will be fully integrated into her own bed without needing to come to us. But if she still hasn't broken that, like if we haven't really broken that habit with her, it's just gonna be my husband getting up in the middle of the night with a rocking chair and rocking her until she goes back to sleep. This pregnancy has been a little bit harder than the other ones. For one, I was not really in the mentality of wanting to be pregnant again, mostly because my core, because I have a diastasis recti, which is where your abdomen muscles separate, my core is horrible. And I had really wanted to work on that and just become more physically fit before I was pregnant again. And then I had been at a point where I didn't know if I wanted to be pregnant again because I really wanted to work on my physical health. And when you're pregnant, it's just harder. If you haven't already been working on your physical health, it's a lot harder to jump into it while you're pregnant. So like, it's been harder in that aspect. It's been harder because this is my first true like plus size pregnancy, and I had just gotten to a place where I was a lot more neutral about my body, and then getting pregnant kind of threw that for a loop. I also have had a very heavy gag reflex and a lot of nausea if I do not sleep long enough, if I do not eat right, if I eat the wrong thing, if I don't eat early enough, if I eat too early. A lot of like specific things around like food have been really difficult. And physically I'm just, you know, I just don't feel great. I'm tired all the time, physically exhausted all the time. I have a bad gag reflex, so like it's not been the greatest pregnancy. This is very similar to when I was pregnant with Evie, so I don't know if that means it's gonna be a girl or if that just means that, like I was with Evie, I was not in a good place physically with Evie, and so it could possibly be that it's just a physical health thing. But according to my midwife, I am perfectly healthy. Everything is going well. My blood work is all good. It's just, it's mostly I'm just tired of being pregnant. I'm tired of not having my body to myself. So, this pregnancy has been really different in that aspect. We do plan to move when we can. Kind of, it's all really hinged on my husband getting a job towards the area where we want to be, because right now we're kind of far out from everything and we want to move back towards my best friend and also family who we are currently like an hour to an hour and a half away from. So we're looking to move closer to them, not necessarily back to the same area we were, but just where it's easier and closer to see them. So likely next summer. That's our hope, but it really just depends on my husband getting a job that can move us that way. So I really don't have a problem showing my kids. I just kind of don't. Part of it's a privacy-ish thing, but I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, I do post kind of yearly family photos around Christmas time, so I don't particularly love having them on camera. My oldest gets really embarrassed and doesn't like to be filmed unless he knows exactly what's going on. My second one, she's not really a camera person, so like it's more just a matter that they don't really love being on camera. And yeah, if you want to see them, you can go to my Instagram and scroll. There are photos of them online, but I just don't post about them a lot. This is a question I will be answering in an upcoming video because I've had a few people ask me if I could create a video of recipes that I like to cook on days when I don't have like a lot to, like I don't have the energy to cook or whatever, or just my favorite recipes. So I will be answering that in a video. But generally speaking, my two favorite things to cook are like chicken bacon potato soup, which will be in the video. Super easy, super delicious, or like roasted vegetables on a pan with sausage or bacon or whatever. Just something really one dish centered. If I could cook everything on one dish, it's perfect. Yes, even before I got married, even as a kid, I remember thinking that 5 was a nice number. And then when my husband and I started dating, that was one of the first things we talked about, because he's one of 8. When we first started dating, that was one of our first things that we ever talked about, and we both liked the sound of 5 kids. So we've always wanted 5. I've never thought of it as a big family because I'm one of 4, my husband's one of 8. My cousins there was 9 in one family. The least amount of kids anybody has in my family is 2. And that just seemed like such a small number of kids to have. So yeah, we've always wanted more kids, but it's kind of, I know it's not even an average size family. To me it is. To me 4 is like, that's the number of kids everybody has, because that's the number of kids most people that I knew had, but apparently that's not normal. We live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom farmhouse. It is a 1,200 and something square foot house. I think it's actually technically 1,400 square feet, but they don't count the laundry room because it used to be a porch, so it does technically not count towards the square footage. But it's not a nice old house. It was not nicely built, and it was very poorly added onto, and there are a lot of problems, so we are eventually going to move. When we move, I want to at least have a 3-bedroom house, potentially a 4-bedroom house, so that we can have an office. We also need to move because I think our oldest is getting to the point where I think he should have some privacy if he wants it, and he doesn't really have that with all of his little sisters. They love sharing a room. I think it's been working out really well, but we have a bunk bed with a pull-out bed underneath it, and then a crib in their bedroom, or a toddler bed right now. So they all 3, you know, the big kids sleep on the bunk bed in the pull-out, and then the toddler sleeps in the toddler bed. It's not ideal, and it's really not what I ever really wanted to do. We originally planned to add on to this house, but the more we have lived here and the more things we know we would need to fix in order to add on, the more we've realized it's probably just more worth it to find a house that's already got multiple bedrooms. So like, it's not horrible. It's doable. There are certainly lots of families who live in very small houses with lots of children. I mean, my brother is one of them. He lived in a 1-bedroom house with 6 kids, and they just like slept in 1 bedroom, and it worked, but they really liked it. I don't. I don't like living in a house with not enough space. I think if our house had more storage and a 3rd bedroom, I would be fine with the size. I actually don't want a huge house. I just basically want an office space because my husband and I both work from home a lot of the time. I want a 2nd bathroom because things get hard when multiple kids have to use the bathroom, and with the privacy thing, my oldest is at the point where he wants privacy when he gets changed, which means he has to go to the bathroom, but then if he's getting changed in the bathroom, nobody else can use the bathroom. So yeah, I think different things work for different people, and this doesn't quite work for us, so eventually we will move. It just depends on where my husband is working, really. Once he gets a job in the area that we want to go to, we will probably start the process of trying to sell the house. So I would say if you are looking into buying a house, a smaller house, make sure it has a lot of storage, because our house does not have any storage really other than like the bedroom closets, and that is a big thing that I would change in hindsight. Are you secretly Wonder Woman? No, I am absolutely not. If you could see the state of the bedroom, you wouldn't be so amazed. But really, truly, and honestly, the balance is not there. I either make really creative content and have a very messy home, or have a really clean home and have no time to make content. I have been working over the years to understand how my brain works with cleaning. As I have mentioned, I have ADHD. Task initiation and task completion are hard for me, not in the sense that I don't want to do things, but in the sense that, like, if I look around and a space is completely chaotic, my brain will literally shut down because I don't have enough of whatever's in there to know where to start. So that's why one of my biggest cleaning hacks, so to speak, is to put everything in a pile and sort the pile, because then it's just one thing. It's not the whole room, it's one pile. But really, I have started to find ways to help myself keep a less chaotic home while I am creating content and being a mom, but I don't do it all at once. There is no such thing. Nobody does it all at once. And if content creators do always have a clean home, they either make videos constantly that are about cleaning their house, or they have hired help or some help of some kind. So I think that's really important to note, is that the only content creators I have ever followed who actually have clean homes and children, their content is literally about keeping their house clean. First of all, my two oldest are in school, so when I am deep cleaning, I deep clean while they're at school. And that has been a huge help, and I know that a lot of homeschoolers follow me, and I know that a lot of people liked that I was trying to homeschool, but for my own mental health and for the sake of my home and my other kids and this new baby and my marriage and like a lot of things, putting them in school was the best thing that I ever did, and I wish they had done it sooner. So anyway, I do most of my cleaning when the kids are gone. We have an evening, like 20 or so minutes, where first we clean up the living room because that's the room that gets the messiest, and then that way the kids are helping out around the house. They also do things like clean the toilet, occasionally wash the dishes, although not all the time because we don't have a dishwasher, and kids are not as good at cleaning dishes. They're getting there, but for deep cleaning, I don't have any tips because I deep clean when I'm hyper focused on it. And maybe my tip would be, if you have a 2-year-old, give them a magic eraser and just tell them to go scrub whatever, because it's not gonna hurt anything. My 4-year-old really likes to clean the table, so I will give her we have like eco-friendly non-toxic cleaner. She gets to go spray the table and clean the table. She might not do a good job, but at least she's helping. She's learning, so that in the future she can be very helpful. And then I just do, I try to keep it on like a small task. You know, if I want to deep clean the kitchen, I don't deep clean the whole kitchen. I deep clean the countertops or the cabinet, or, you know, like underneath the sink. I don't do it all at once. So yeah. So one thing is, I don't get dressed up all the time. I do more now because I drop my kids off at school every day. So I do kind of get dressed, and whatever I put on is what I wear all day. And most of the time I want to look decent dropping my kids off at school. I don't always wear makeup every day. I don't always do my hair. A lot of times my hair is just like it is today because I don't know what I'm doing with my hair at the moment. Makeup is kind of subjective to where I'm going, who I'm going to be with, if I feel like it. I have been struggling with rosacea for a couple of years now, so I wear makeup more often than I used to because my skin is not clear, and that's kind of a big insecurity for me, that I don't have clear skin. But I don't do it every day. I don't do it all the time. I will say most of the time when I'm getting ready, it takes, at the most it'll take 45 minutes, but usually I have about 15 minutes where I just get ready, I get dressed, I do basic makeup if I want to. And keeping up with my relationship, that is a very conscious thing that I have to do. And again, not to make this all about ADHD, but one of the things I have to be very conscious of is that I can get very hyper focused and pulled into social media and my phone. I read books on my phone all the time. So I have to make a conscious I have to make myself aware of when I am doing that, and The biggest thing that I will do is just put my phone away for the night. After the kids go to bed, I try to plug my phone in the bedroom, which is far away from the living room, and my husband and I spend time together after the kids go to bed. I think the biggest thing with like keeping up our relationship is making sure that we're asking each other how we're doing. Like, hey, even little things like, how was work today? Did you have time to get that thing done that you wanted to do? We are both very we kind of work together on being the parent who takes over the kids if the other person has something to do. Say if he's making a short film over the weekend, I'm the parent that'll stay home with the kids, and vice versa. If I have filming that I need to get done, he's the one who takes over the kids. So we try to have that fluctuating availability for each other. But yeah, really, I think the biggest thing in keeping up a relationship is that we always check in with each other. We try to check in with each other. I'm not going to say always because nothing is always. I try to put my phone away when I realize I've been on it too much, because I get really focused on one thing. And I think another big thing is that we are not afraid to have hard conversations. And there have been many of those throughout the years, and checking up on each other, especially if we are struggling with things, if we are emotionally struggling, or whatever the case, we're not afraid to talk about the hard, scary things. And I think that's really important, to have the trust in your partner that you can talk to them about anything. And I mean anything and everything that you're embarrassed or ashamed about. We have had conversations about things like that. Because at the end of the day, I would rather have a marriage where we know the hard things and the crappy things and the dark things about each other, and we know how to work through those things, and we know how each other needs support, and we know when we need to reach out to someone else for help, some outside advice, right? I would rather have a marriage where we are working actively to be the people we need for ourselves and for each other than to avoid the hard conversations because they're hard. So I think that's a big thing. Oh. And like right now, as he's been home more and I've been feeling horrible, he has been the main housekeeper and the main child carer and all of that stuff, because physically right now I can't do a lot because I will throw up. So yeah, I hope that answered the question. That was a lot, but so I think the biggest thing I learned was from my mom, and it was that, especially around having kids, if she was really upset, I didn't know this as a kid, we always got sent to our rooms to sit for a couple of minutes until she was going to come in and talk to us and give us whatever discipline we needed, right? If we did something bad. I didn't know until much later it's because she would get really angry, and she did not ever want to be disciplining us or talking to us about whatever we had done wrong if she was angry. So sending us to our room was not for the benefit of us to like sit there and think about what we had done like I thought it was. It was because she wanted to calm down and deal with us when she was calm and not angry. She never disciplined us or anything when she was upset, right? Because she didn't ever want to be that way. So that's my biggest thing, is to walk away. As far as internet things go, like if I get a comment that is upsetting or makes me mad, I have a few friends that I can vent to who know that like I'm not going to send them to take care of some rude comment. I just need to talk to them. I need to talk it out. I need to get it out of my system, and then I'll be fine. I talk to my best friend a lot. I talk to my husband a lot. I kind of just let my feelings out, not directed at the person who upset me, so that then I can deal with that in a way that is calm. I'm not generally a very angry person. I don't really get mad at people. I don't generally have a big temper where I get angry at people very often. So in my marriage, if I am upset with my husband, generally I go sit and I sit with those feelings and I figure out whether it's a problem that we can fix together, whether I just need to vent to him if he hurt my feelings or he did something that was unfair to me, then we'll talk about it.
She just doesn't really care. And
But
I
what,
don't...
also, like, what do you think about that? Like,
No, I might say something and you might change or something.
but yeah, I really don't ask that much. But you also don't criticize what I wear, unless I asked.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, I think I'm going to answer this from a slightly wider perspective. In the fact that we are all individuals with your own sense of style, and how you look physically should never affect how someone values you as a partner. If it's just in passing, he said, yeah, I don't really care for that style. I genuinely don't care if my husband doesn't like what I'm wearing, because I know that at the end of the day, he doesn't really care what I look like. He cares about who I am as a person, and my value as a person has not changed just because I've gained weight, or my skin is bad, or I'm wearing a dress he doesn't like. My value to him is not contingent upon those things. Certainly, he is attracted to my physical self in a physical way. He thinks I'm hot. He does like what I wear most of the time. The one thing I have said is, if you don't like what I'm wearing, don't say anything. I don't want to know. Because I know that if he doesn't like what I'm wearing, oh well. It's personal taste. It's all personal taste. There are times when I don't really like what he's wearing. I don't really, it doesn't matter. It's fashion. It's very subjective. It's personal. I hope that answered your question. I would say if your husband is allowing the way you look physically to affect how he treats you, that is wrong. That should never ever change. How you look or what you wear should never change how a person treats you. And if it does, that is a problem with them. If it's just a matter of you asking him and him saying, it's not my favorite, I would dig a little deeper into that. I would say, do you really not like anything I wear? Or is it this particular style? Because for myself, well, there is a variety of things in my closet that my husband's not a fan of, because he doesn't like the color, or he doesn't like the cut, or he doesn't like the way, how high-rise the pants are. I don't know. He doesn't think high-rise pants are attractive. I don't really care. As you saw him say, I literally don't care. But, so yeah, I would basically just tell him that if he doesn't really like one of your outfits, you don't need to know about it. You don't need to know his opinion. It is perfectly acceptable to tell him that you don't really want to know if he doesn't like an outfit. There's nothing rude about it. It's not that I don't care about his opinion on how I look, but I only want his opinion on how I look if I ask for it. And I generally only dress for him if we're going out on a date. and generally he really doesn't care. So that is it. Hopefully you all liked this video. I can hear my kids sort of degenerating because I have promised the little girls that I would go get them miniature pumpkins, and it is past time to go do that. But yeah, thank you all for 18,000. This was really fun to film. Hopefully next week I will be back with a lot more creative videos. I have to be honest, I'm getting a little tired of just filming the talking videos, and I want to make things. So the rest of this month, hopefully I will be making things. And I hope that if you are new here, you will stick around. If you want to support my channel in more ways than just liking and subscribing and commenting, you can go check out my Ko-Fi, where you can tip me for the work that I do here, or you can subscribe to my Patreon, where I post any kind of paraphernalia that has to do with my videos when I can. It's not a consistent update thing, but it does have things like vintage recipes, vintage magazine scans, vintage fashion scans, stuff like that. So if I go through a vintage fashion magazine on my channel, all of the scans are going to be over on Patreon. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for having this little chat with me. Thank you for sticking around and watching and asking a lot of very great questions. I hope that wherever you are feeling safe and loved. And until I see you again, have a beautiful day, and thank you for watching. Bye!
You're too handsome.
and too distracting. I just popped a nail off in my hair. Bye with my... I put these on this morning and they're gone already.